I'm Danielle Todd with Make Food Not Waste. Here in Michigan, we've helped 6 major cities write blueprints of how they can keep all of their food waste out of landfills, and we're getting ready to implement them one by one. We're doing this to help Michigan reach its goal of cutting food waste in half by 2030.
My name is Joe Richardson. I found Lunch Out of Landfills, which focuses on recovering food in school cafeterias that's previously been thrown away. By providing share table refrigerators, we're recovering between 50 pounds a day in schools, 9,000 pounds a year. This year, we provided refrigerators in 6 schools in Athens, Georgia, 8 schools in Memphis, Tennessee, 3 in Baltimore, 1 in Washington State, hoping to expand this program nationwide by the fall.
I'm Erin Ash with Spoonfuls, a nonprofit food recovery organization in Massachusetts. Our biggest accomplishment in 2025 was recovering more food than any other year in our history by adjusting our routes, opening up more time for food recovery, and expanding to new parts of the state. In total, we distributed over 6.2 million pounds of food in Massachusetts that fed our neighbors instead of the waste stream during a year when food access was especially challenging.
Hi everyone, I'm Meg Lembo, the COO of Share My Meals in New Jersey, where we're focused on safely and sustainably recovering surplus prepared meals from a wide variety of partners, including healthcare care facilities. And we're particularly proud of the work we've done this past year with hospitals. We recovered 43,000 meals from 19 hospitals across the state. It's a 215% increase in recoveries from those settings, and we're so pleased to support our hospital partners in going beyond clinical care to address food security and environmental waste in their communities.
Hi, Feng Min from MetaFoodX. We have been able to make food waste prevention a reality at many kitchens. On a single campus, we were able to track 4,000 food items through 250,000 food scans. So let's do better in 2026.
Hi everyone, my name is Alicia Wind and I'm an engineer with EnviroStewards, a Canadian consulting firm and certified B Corporation that helps build resilient businesses. Last year, we worked with Refed and WWF to investigate food loss across the ground beef and yogurt supply chains from processing to retail. We found the equivalent of over 350 million meals per year are being lost in the US, identified the largest sources of those losses, along with potential solutions to be investigated and implemented.
Hi, I'm Heather Thompson with Table to Table in New Jersey. Last year, we rescued 25.2 million pounds of nourishing food, including nearly 400 rescues from 24 school cafeterias. We're reducing waste, feeding neighbors, and teaching students that food belongs on dinner tables, not in landfills.
All right, let's give it up for that. That was beautiful. I have to say those videos are really moving, and equally as moving is just meeting everyone and kind of comparing what everyone's doing. Hearing all those efforts are so inspiring to me, so I love it. Thank you all for who submitted. Welcome back. Hopefully you guys had great breakout sessions. I did. We're going to dive into 2 really opposite worlds, and I love this approach. We're going to start with the paradigm-shifting technology and going to dive just headfirst into AI at the beginning of this session. We're going to hear from a number of different leaders, different approaches, how it's being implemented. Really excited about that. And then we're going to go on the complete other side with a really kind of intimate, more immediate, I would say analog culinary demo with the amazing celebrity chef Andrew Zimmern. So really excited for that. Yeah. So without further ado, let's dive into AI, and I'm going to bring up a fellow Seattleite. He's the editor-in-chief over at The Spoon. Please give it up for Michael Wolf.
Good job. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Working? All right. All right, I'm going to start cooking, right? I'll wait, let Andrew do that. Hey, everyone, my name is Mike Wolf. It's great to be here. I love the Refed community. Great to see so many familiar faces I saw in Seattle, and it's really great to be here. And if you don't know about The Spoon, we do research, we write about food tech, and we write a lot about food waste. And so this is an area that's really close to my heart. And for the last year or so, I've been focused on AI and food waste, working closely with the Refed organization to write their first comprehensive paper. And what I would argue is the first real system-wide look at how AI is helping impact food waste on the farm, in food processing, at retail and in the home. And so I want to talk to you about that a little bit today. And so I think Dana mentioned that the report launched. So the real takeaway, if you remember nothing about my talk, you forget everything, just go check out the report because there's a lot more detail in that. So one key takeaway that we found in our findings is that AI isn't one magic gadget or piece of software or one company. It's really about 5 capabilities maturing in overlapping phases. And when we look at the first 2 phases, they're fairly mature and kind of well deployed. If you look at measurement and visibility, forecasting and decision support, these are technologies that are well deployed, that are saving hundreds of millions of dollars per year, and are in restaurants, are in grocery stores, et cetera, places where you shop every day. Phase 3, generative AI, we've all spent the last 3 years, the whole world is focused on that, whether it's the media or venture capital. We're seeing hundreds of billions of dollars going into hyperscale data centers. But it is an area, a technology, these foundation models are starting to really add new and exciting feature sets, either to mature technologies that have been out there a while, or completely creating new, wholly new, interesting technologies that will help us reduce food waste. Phase 4, autonomous and anticipatory, this is where we're talking about things like agentic AI, and we're starting to see commoditized decision-making that humans may not be great at or don't want to do, starting to be deployed and kind of offloaded into agents. I mean, I have bad news for you humans. You're not always the greatest at responding to making decisions, and so there's a lot of low-level decision-making that we can start to use agents for to help us with. And finally, the last one, biological design. This isn't necessarily a heavy focus of ReFed, but we're starting to see companies use AI to accelerate research around things like gene editing to actually design the waste out of food. If you look 10 years in the future, we may be able to just better design our food to where there's less waste, whether that's changing a trait here in the genome, et cetera. So I want to, that's kind of a high-level overview, but I want to just spend some time looking at each sector very quickly, and then we'll kind of wrap up with some recommendations. And so one of the areas that I think is the most mature is food service. And that's largely because there's been companies out there doing good work, whether that's LeanPath, Winnow, Orbisk, or Kitro, have spent a good part of the last decade putting computer vision into the back of house, into commercial kitchens to help chefs, help restaurant managers, help food service managers really understand what's going on. And it's actually resulting in big reduction in food waste, whether that's 30 to 53% reduction in food waste in food service environments, or that's 4,000 or so locations deployed by the likes of a LeanPath, or that's $100 million in savings from the likes of a Winnow. We interviewed, I didn't mention this earlier, but for the report, we interviewed 35 subject matter experts, many of which are in the audience today. The ReFed community has such a great wealth of expertise that we thought, why not just jump into and use these experts to kind of help us really see what's going on? And so Andrew Shackman was one of the great experts that we interviewed. And he said that we want to know how much we have, but we also want to reduce it. And that's our goal in the prevention world. He said, I see AI making meaning in the data to action loop. In other words, it's great to be able to understand what is happening with our food, but AI is increasingly helping us to take action and reduce the amount of waste. The other really mature space in terms of the verticals around food waste reduction with AI is food retail. It's actually the fastest maturing space. And if you don't know this already, the grocery store and food retail has business structures that creates permission for food waste. It incentivizes food waste in that oftentimes you want the freshest food out there to attract customers. Despite these incentive structures, we think that we're starting to see a real embrace of AI within the grocery retail space because food costs are going up and they're trying to figure out how to waste less food because they operate on really thin margins. Two startups in particular that we interviewed, we saw doing really interesting work here. Afresh, Matthew Swartz is a great thought leader, he's a part of the ReFed community as well. He told me that this is a pennies business, as you well know with grocery. And even if you're a few percentage points off of every ordering decision across thousands of store departments, it compounds into millions of pounds of food waste per year. And Afresh has prevented 200 million pounds of food loss across 12,000 plus store departments. So that's measurable, massive impact all largely thankful to the arrival of AI. Crisp is another great startup as well that's using AI to help us move beyond more antiquated things like Best Buy labels, using actual data, disparate data points that was messy before we couldn't really bring it all together, but AI is helping us to kind of bring all these insights together to use and move beyond things like Best Buy dates. Upstream food processing, it's not quite as visible as food retail or food service, right? Like you go in the back of house, in the kitchen, I'm sure Andrew or Joel see this, when you see busboys throwing out plates and plates of food. I go to Vegas, I see so much food waste, and it just breaks my heart. But with upstream, it's not as visible. And what AI is allowing us to do is start to get visibility. A good example is a project by Cargill, one of the biggest meat processors in the world. They have a project called Carve, which just won an award from the Edison Society, an Edison Research Award, and that this computer vision system from them basically helps reduce waste and improve yield efficiency by 3 to 5% in meat processing plants. And when you add it up across 35 head of cattle per shift, that's millions and millions of pounds per year and millions of dollars that stays out of the waste. Another great company is Strela, that's using AI and sensors in the food produce space to help reduce food waste. They use sensors to kind of detect ethylene, and then they use AI to help us better predict when they should actually optimize and put the food actually in the stores. Distribution and supply chain. I know Adam's going up next, so I don't want to really kind of step on his thunder, but I will just really quickly say that when I talk to experts in supply chain and cold chain, the real big difference and the real difference that AI is making is taking supply chain and cold chain from anticipatory or from reactionary to anticipatory. Imagine if we can know that a cold chain food truck is going to break down in a week because of all these signals, and we can actually do something about it before we waste thousands of pounds of food. That's what AI is going to allow us to do. Or if we can know that this big pallet of strawberries will be fresh in 4 days versus a week, and we can make a decision and move quickly and not waste all the food. That's what AI is allowing us to do. Finally, a place close to my heart is the person who started the Smart Kitchen Summit. I love kitchen gadgets, but it's always kind of bummed me out that the home kitchen is the biggest source of food waste. 40% of food waste, I think, the latest numbers, is because of the consumer kitchen. But it's the hardest place to use technology to change behavior. And that's because there's big structural hurdles. Consumers are stubborn. They don't want to change their behavior. There's no profit motive necessarily other than, hey, I want to save money. But there's no manager saying, hey, you need to install this and use it. And the data and systems are hard to track. The good news is I think the macro environment is starting to lend itself to actually making and driving change because food inflation is going up. I was in the GLP session earlier. We talked about how people are eating less. I think GLP-1s, people are starting to really watch what they eat, and I think it's starting to lend itself a little bit to food waste reduction. And quantifying our behavior is becoming easier and easier. And so I think there's promising signals out there beyond that. I've talked a lot to another great thought leader in the space is Harry Tannenbaum with Mill. I think he's here. I just saw Harry. They have some great data points from their device. I think many of you probably had one of those Mill food recyclers. I have one at home. I love it. But what they're finding is they use this Mill, and then they use AI to create insights. And these insights are actually causing people to actually waste less food. I think I heard from Mill that 20% of people that use Mill, they have a 20% decline in food waste. 60% reported cooking differently after using the Mill. So really interesting behavior change being affected by AI insights driven because of the Mill and AI insights. So last slide, key takeaways. And again, I would encourage you to go check out the report. There's a lot deeper dives into that. But I think with the world of sustainability, I think there's a lot of people who have an anti-AI bias, and I understand that because it's using a lot of resources, using a lot of electricity. But I would say don't use that as an excuse not to at least move and understand what AI can do for your business. If it can actually outweigh in a massive way what you can use in terms of energy using AI to actually reduce food waste, I think it's really something that you should look at closely. I'd also say start now if you haven't already. And again, I've mentioned that the ReFed community has a lot of great thought leaders, whether that's Andrew Shackman, whether it's Olaf with Orbisk, whether that's Harry with Tannenbaum, whether that's Emily Ma with Google. Lots of great thought leaders that you can talk to here at ReFed to help you on your AI journey. I would encourage you to get to know these folks. Also, I would say if you're building a business, if you own a large business, create the internal incentive structures to allow AI to work. Because oftentimes, as I said with the grocery store example, the incentive structures oftentimes create incentives to waste food. And so if you want to roll out an AI initiative, make sure everyone's on the same page, that there's buy-in, and you have the right incentive structures to make it successful. And finally, I would say start with a specific measurable problem. If you want to start with a pilot or just start with a small program. Again, if you have questions, I can help you with this. I'm sure there's lots of other folks could have great examples. The folks who are coming up after me, who are the real operators and building businesses and technology leaders, they'll have some great examples as well. So, and finally, I'll just say, read the report. It's a large report. There's lots of great examples. If you have any questions, ask the ReFed folks, ask me, but enjoy it. And so that's really it. That's my quick intro. And I'm going to introduce our next person to come on up. That's going to be Adam Whitwer, who's the president of Train Technologies, who's going to talk about technology and cold chain. Come on up, Adam. Hey, man. There you go.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mike. So Mike gave a little introduction. Train Technologies is our parent company, and I'm going to jump in. I actually lead our Thermo King division. And Thermo King was actually founded in 1938, and the whole premise was to tackle food loss. So we've been doing this a long time, 88 years. And the invention that set us forward was the invention of the active refrigeration unit for transport. So we started tackling it a long time ago, and we've been tackling food loss for a while. And what we've seen is the technology is changing, and we're right in the middle of a huge transformative opportunity around technology impacting the space. Food waste, we know, is a large, but it is an addressable problem. And so some of these technologies will help us move forward. And one of the goals is to move from what today exists in the cold chain as what we would consider a reactive refrigeration system. It operates like your refrigerator on a trailer or a truck. How do we turn that into a more data-driven approach based on the cargo, based on the route? So we've already talked about some numbers today, but I'm going to hit a couple because the size of the prize is really big. We all know that about up to 40% of food waste in the United States is lost. We also know that one-third of food supply globally is also either lost or wasted. And a number that is not on the slide, but is critically important to this discussion, is between 13 and 15% annually. But from harvest to retail store, 13 to 15% of food produced is lost. So I want you to start, and I'm going to ask you to imagine something. I want you to imagine yourself as a semi-driver. You are driving down a freeway, and you have a 53-foot trailer loaded with fresh goods, produce. You have frozen goods back there in a separate compartment. And you're driving, and it's poor weather, and you are the one that is responsible for getting these goods to a distribution center to make their way to customers quickly. It's a job that they don't take very lightly, and I'm sure you don't either as you're driving. You happen to look out your rearview mirror, and in your rearview mirror, you see a yellow light on the refrigeration unit. You as a truck driver that's driving a refrigerated trailer know that yellow light means you have a problem. You don't know what the problem is yet, so you have to drive to the nearest location, and what you do is you get out of your truck, you walk up to the unit, and you look at the refrigeration unit. Guess what? You're not a refrigeration expert. So you see a code on there. You don't know what it means. You don't know how to take action. Do I need to go get this fixed right now? Can I make it to my destination? I've still got 600 miles left on my route. This is something that is being faced by truck drivers all across the United States every single day. Thousands and thousands of times a week. So most likely what the driver does is they go to a dealership or they call a mobile truck to come on out and look at the unit because they do not want a load lost. This is how we prevent this service network that exists is a critical infrastructure to make sure that we don't lose loads across North America. So they likely go in and it could take hours. What happens if they don't have the part at that location that they show up? What happens if the technician that has the expertise isn't there, or they don't have a bay to work on it? Yes, they protect the load, but they don't protect the on-time piece. And so what happens to that product? Well, we all know that we just reduce shelf life. We just reduce food waste, inefficiency, and round-trip efficiency. So now paint this picture with AI today. Paint the picture with AI, the same situation happens. Instead of you having to catch the yellow light, you had no idea when that thing came on. You just looked in the rearview mirror now. It could have been hours ago. You now get a notification that goes to your infotainment system on your dash. On that infotainment system, it tells you how urgent this issue is. Failure is imminent within 4 hours, a week, a day. What choices do you make differently? Those choices drive efficiency in the cold chain in one very small segment that would improve product integrity. It would improve the business results of both the retailer that receives the goods as well as the truck driver, because they're not paying for unnecessary emergency service with a load, and it drives sustainability and reduced diesel. I have just up here is a visualization of the cold chain end to end. And obviously it's very simplified. We all know that. But if you look, this is just one information gap. It was a gap between a driver and understanding what the unit that was 15 feet behind him was actually telling him. There are countless data gaps that exist throughout the cold chain. Countless. Every single one of those data gaps has a growing amount, as they stack on them, impact on the efficiency of the network. It is already becoming standard today to have sensors, GPS location, active monitoring of a unit, telematics, you may call it. We understand that there's data flowing in. In an earlier session that I was in, somebody talked about data is only important if you can take action on it. There has been a lot of data in the cold chain for a while. There has been little action, and AI is what's changing that today. We are in a world where AI is starting to impact route efficiency. We're impacting business results in less downtime, as I just described. We're impacting how maintenance can be completed during scheduled other events. We can also drive just overall efficiency in routes. As we're working toward this smarter, more resilient food system, these solutions compound. Think of them as stacking effect. One thing after another, one gap filled, improves efficiency, increases shelf time, reduce food waste. I want you to imagine some of these solutions, the data creation, and start to think about how they can drive that they're now effective in the cold chain today. We can start to optimize the temperature profile, the airflow in the back of a trailer, in a cold storage warehouse, based on the goods on the pallet. When we do that, we inhibit ripening in the trailer in a way that extends food in shelf life. This is technology that exists today, but it's hard to take action. AI can change that immensely. The key is making sure that we have data that's able to pull up into a cloud, and at that level, we can aggregate it very quickly and make decisions that communicate directly with the unit that remove the driver from the equation, which can really lead to a tremendous amount of waste. You know, at scale, improved refrigeration is a really big deal globally. It's less so in North America in terms of food loss, but I want to paint this picture worldwide. In 2024, the University of Michigan had a big study, and their study was around understanding of the portions of food waste, what impact would different factors have on it? And the single biggest factor was actually the implementation of active refrigeration or the improvement of active refrigeration on a system and on a good. That is not just in transport, that is in packaging, that is in the transition into a warehouse, into distribution, and last mile. All of those have stacking effects on the full event. And what the University of Michigan concluded was that nearly 620 million metric tons of food is lost around the world. 620 million metric tons of food is lost around the world because of these inefficiencies. So I want to bring you back to the story. The story in itself is one small point in time. It is a single gap that, when illustrated, describes the inefficiency that already exists in a cold chain that is intended to prevent load loss, but not intended to drive efficiency, which impacts shelf life. AI is changing this. It's driving a stronger food resilience. It's creating will create better business outcomes for retailers, for transport customers, driving costs down, and improving the efficiency in the overall network. And ultimately, it will drive better outcomes for our communities. Thank you.
All right, I'm not giving another talk. I'm just going to introduce our next speaker, and I'm pleased to welcome up Gurbir Pirhar, who heads up Compass's enterprise data, analytics, and artificial intelligence initiatives. Gurbir is going to talk about designing smarter systems to reduce food waste. Come on up.
Hi, everyone. This is my first REFED conference, so excited to be here. Mike already touched on this a little bit, but the notion of AI to the common person out on the street in the last 2 or 3 years has drastically changed. If you run into someone outside, or maybe you talk to one of your family members, you talk to one of your kids, what is AI? They may describe a chatbot. They may describe a Gen AI image, kind of like the ones you're going to see up on screen in my presentation. And the same thing happens in enterprise. If you talk to someone, they might start thinking about a chatbot, or they might bring up the word agent or agentic workflows or automation or something along those lines. At Compass Group, one of the world's largest contract food services companies, we obsess over how we can use AI to make food systems smarter, more adaptive, more predictive, more prescriptive, and just more efficient overall. So my name is Gurbir Pirhar, and I run the data and AI team servicing Compass Group North America. And I've been with the group for about 10 years now, and spent the previous 10 years in the AI industry as well. And why we obsess so much over using AI to reduce food waste at Compass stems primarily from numbers like these. These won't be new to anyone in the audience, but when you think about globally, annually, numbers like $1 trillion worth of food waste, it's hard not to be motivated by that. Now, my thesis, my conjecture here is that this isn't just a food and food waste problem, but rather it's a huge decision-making opportunity. And at Compass, and in many other commercial kitchens as well, things are busy, things are chaotic. Operations are humming. What looks like chaos is actually more of a symphony, but there's a lot of things going on at any one given moment. So what oftentimes ends up happening is that we become reactive. In hospitality, especially in culinary hospitality, the best and most delightful experience we can offer to our guests, to our clients and customers, is when they come to our restaurants, they come to our cafes, they come line up for a cup of coffee, they have multiple fresh options waiting for them. So what ends up happening is we overproduce. Now, we adapt. We manually go back and track how much we overproduced. We also measure food waste out of the other end. But what AI offers us is or the opportunity it's offering us is to change that mental model from hindsight, here's how much we wasted, to foresight. What should we do tomorrow? And this is where, in partnership with our culinary team, as well as our internal sustainability teams, the technology teams can start contributing. The three-layer approach that we've come up with is essentially prevent, recover, and close the loop. In different words, it is reduce, reuse, recycle. Given that I'm representing data and AI, we primarily play in the prevention space because we believe the best food waste, if that exists, is the food waste that never takes place. So how can we build systems or widgets or capabilities that can be put in front of the right eyeballs at the right time in a busy, complex environment like a commercial kitchen to make sure that we are forecasting properly, we're menu engineering properly, but at the same time, we're not adding net new headaches for folks who are working in very busy environments. For us, that starts primarily with forecasting and menu engineering. Forecasting could be something as straightforward, and Mike, you mentioned this in your opener. Forecasting could be something as straightforward as how much foot traffic do we anticipate at a given site tomorrow compared to today, or next week compared to this week. We could be looking at external factors or forcing functions like climate, weather, seasonality, looking at site similarities or if there's any big events taking place in the vicinity. And then rinsing and repeating that across all 30, 40,000 locations that we operate in North America. You can then take it a step lower and say, okay, now we know how much foot traffic to expect. Let's look at every SKU or menu item descriptor. How many chicken sandwiches do we think will sell tomorrow? And given how much data we collect and how, relatively speaking, cheap compute has become over the last 5-10 years, you can get surprisingly accurate numbers just by looking at the data and crunching through these models. Once we have those forecasts, it's a small hop to now making menu recommendations or menu engineering. If we're looking at a decrease in foot traffic and maybe tomorrow is expected to be a miserable weather day, can we make a recommendation to the staff or to operations to maybe give comfort food a more prominent display? If it's going to be a beautiful day like today, maybe we want to push fresh food options, something that maybe folks can also enjoy outdoors. And the key to making this all work that we've learned, oftentimes the hard way, over the last 10 years, is how do we put these recommendations in front of the right eyeballs at the right time? None of this tech is meant to replace anyone's decision-making, but rather augment it. So if there are production sheets, procurement sheets, order sheets that have to be filled out on a daily or weekly basis, can the tech simply pre-populate those, while at the same time, we always make sure the chef or the operator or whoever's in charge has the equivalent of a digital eraser so they can go in and change things, modify things as needed in case the system gets things wrong. Full disclosure, systems like I just described will never eliminate food waste. They're meant to reduce it. So in situations where we actually have surplus, this is where our partnership with the sustainability team at Compass comes into play. So what can't be prevented shouldn't be wasted. If we have genuinely overproduced meals or dishes that haven't been exposed, haven't been unsealed, haven't seen public interaction or anything, we can then tap into our vast network of community kitchens and shelters, and through cold chain tracking, Adam, like you were talking about, we can get these delicious meals to the folks who need them the most in a safe and reliable and sustainable way. For food items that don't qualify for that first group, we can then do the same thing, but for animal feed. We can send scrap waste or other food waste to agricultural processing facilities where it can be turned into nutritious animal feed. And through this process of elimination, what we're left with at the end of that, what's not safe for human consumption, what's not viable for animal feed, is our opportunity for composting. And with that composting, this is where things get very exciting because we can now start closing that loop, that circular economy aspect. We've heard Mill mention a number of times. I had a great chat with Harry just before this presentation. Compass has recently announced a fairly large partnership with Mill to do a lot of this composting in a decentralized manner. One of the factoids that stuck out to me the most was that upwards of 80% of compost waste or waste that can be composted is made of water. So that makes it very heavy. So if you are transporting it off-site, that has a carbon impact because you need more fossil fuels to move things. There is a space component to that. The bacteria needs water to decompose. There's a smell aspect to it. There's a number of things going on. So if now we can start dehydrating and grinding food down to its constituent nutrients in a relatively coarse powder form, there's a lot that you can do with it. And I'm just scratching the surface with what we can do with our partnership with Mill, because it's not just a dehydrator and grinder system or appliance. There's a lot of AI and computer vision that goes into it. So it can now start giving us intelligence into what exactly went into the bin before it was dehydrated and ground up. So going back to our forecasting and menu engineering, this becomes another feedback mechanism that says, you know what, from a protein standpoint, there was a lot of chicken that went to waste this week, and that can now be an input for those forecasting and menu engineering recommendation models. So just to wrap, we started this journey over a decade ago. And at that point, the best that we could hope for was at least creating viable baselines. We wanted to report on how much food waste was happening. Where applicable, we wanted to break it down by categories, but really it was looking at the food mass, the food waste mass over time. As industry has progressed, we're now talking about making more intelligent recommendations using those baselines. And with partners like Mill, with the various capabilities in the AI space coming out, we're super excited to see where we can take this going forward, but also to quantify every step of the way, because that old adage of you can't improve what you can't measure is 100% in full effect. Thank you.
I find that all really interesting, personally, and obviously incredibly moving, incredibly impactful, and equally as impactful as AI, I believe, is kind of the other side of it, which is analog or storytelling. And I think it's having a resurgence, and the best storytellers in the world. I mean, it's always been really important to be able to inspire and motivate others, but the best ones are really shining right now because of the other side of AI. And so we have brought two of what I think are the country's best food storytellers that there are. When you think about food media, it is a changing landscape. It changes every single day. Both of these people have adapted beautifully. One is Kim Severson. We met her earlier, but I just want to make sure that the accolades show up. So she is a Southern-based correspondent for the New York Times. She's hysterical, if you guys haven't already told. She's won several regional and national awards for her news and feature writing, including the 2018 Pulitzer Prize for Public Service. So she's a total badass. And speaking of badass, someone who I grew up watching, I love, who inspires millions of people around the world, Andrew Zimmern, a chef, restaurateur, entrepreneur, television and radio host. Andrew has built a career on this belief that the world's most important stories are centered around food, and he brings those to life in all the different mediums that he participates in. He's an Emmy Award-winning creator, executive producer, host of several acclaimed shows, including Bizarre Foods, love that one, The Zimmern Lists, What's Eating America, Family Dinner, and Wild Game Kitchen. I love that one too. So please give it up for both Kim and Andrew. They're going to do a little culinary demo for us. After you, my dear. Kill it.
Oh, hello. There he is. Gee, Chef, what should we do first when we're starting a cooking demo?
Let's put on our aprons and be totally cute together.
Okay.
I think...
You're going to take your jacket off?
I am going to take my jacket off.
Where's your agent? There should be somebody here to take your jacket. I'll take it.
Right. Just
all right.
Throw that over there.
You're in professional hands.
Should we confess to people that
you don't say it before we decide if we're going to confess something.
Oh, shit.
Right.
But we know each other in real life.
Yeah, we do.
So we apologize, and IRL, we're friends. So...
That's what he thinks, but I'll just let him keep thinking that.
That's why we're a little more casual than some other duo.
Right.
of
It's more
chef
formal.
and Pulitzer Prize winning
That's right.
journalists.
So you can, and we have no dance numbers, nothing.
Nope.
But very exciting. We're gonna we have 1/2 hour to make something, or you'll be eliminated.
No, do you want to know what it is? Pack your knives and go.
Right, exactly.
What's going to happen is I am finally, well, this is what I do every night at home. I'm cooking
Really?
for an audience of one.
Okay. Okay.
And I get to do some of my favorite stuff, which is cook with seafood.
Right.
And it's even more meaningful when the story that is told is of another culture that, well, cultures all around the world that do not turn these into animal feed.
Right.
They do not freeze them and let them sit in the back of a freezer for 8 or 9 years until they can be processed into something else.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, some sort of like unlabeled fishy cake thing in the school
They
lunch
serve to
program,
elementary school,
but is actually a real piece of food. And I'm actually going to take
Okay. Now, first
this
of all,
one's a little easier to butcher.
I want people to learn a little something, right?
Yep.
So first of all, where the hell am I going to get a fish head?
You're going to get a fish head anywhere that you buy fish.
Okay.
And I say anywhere sort of loosely, right?
Yeah.
Because there are some big box stores where you can buy a whole fillet of salmon.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't buy a whole one.
Right.
However, any place that has a knife and a human being has them. And what's fascinating about it is that the best part of that center cut fillet of the wild Northern Californian king that's going to come into market.
No more kings. Now it's sockeye.
Any day now.
Yeah.
Well, but sockeyes run later. That's July-ish.
Okay.
That's July-ish. But we are going to get some gorgeous salmon, big salmon, into the markets any day now. And you pay the same amount for this as you do for that beautiful center cut fillet.
Okay.
So if you could, as they do in other countries, actually, and I'm going to use a towel for because safety first, Kim.
Thank you.
If we can actually find pleasant ways to eat this, because you will pay for this collar
At a restaurant.
right here at a restaurant a fortune, and chefs know how much collagen and flavor and actual meat as well is hidden in every little nook and cranny of this head.
Okay.
So I want to use this head and make something delicious for you.
Okay.
And I'm actually, since I'm splitting it, I'm going to put a few aromatics into here. I have some chicken broth simmering. You can use some fish broth.
This is curry leaf?
No, those are macroot lime
Oh,
leaves.
macroot lime. Okay.
Little bit of brown
back
sugar.
in the days before people knew better, called them a kefir, which was a very negative term.
Correct. It is a very negative term.
Right.
And so much so that we don't say it anymore.
I've just been canceled.
You
I just want people to
you
learn
of all
because-
people.
No, I know. I'm just like, people sometimes remember that name and they're just trying to help them as we've transitioned to a much more enlightened and sensitive way of being.
We have, you know,
Don't make me, I'm just helping people.
No. I'm going to turn this down a little bit so that we do more simmering and less burling.
What is this?
Well, this I'm going to use some of your help. I'm going to give you one of these. This is a really good spoon. Do not lose that. This is tamarind.
Okay.
And you know, when we talk about waste, you can buy tamarind puree, right? I mean, because there is lots of waste in the jarred and canned section, the center of the supermarket as well. But this is just tamarind fruit. You can actually chew on this. Those little marks are me pulling little pieces out and eating it.
Okay.
The seeds and the stems are in there. So I just mixed it with a little bit of hot water backstage earlier, and it turns into this. What would you call that? A paste?
That would be a rough paste,
Something
a
like
chunky
that.
paste.
Puree. Yeah. So, but you can actually
You're the professional,
push.
mister. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're the one that says I'm right or wrong.
That's
so,
true.
But you can push, you know, just very slowly, and just we'll get some stuff out of there that doesn't have.
And tamarind, a lot of recipes use tamarind. We have a lot on our NYT cooking app, lots of tamarind.
Oh my God, it's absolutely fantastic. We use it in our house all the time. I have several different kinds. This is Thai.
You could just buy a chunk, buy it in a block, right, at the store usually?
That's what this is.
Okay.
I just happened to pull some pieces off of it, you know, just right there. You can also buy purees. Remember, the Thai one, and I'm putting some Thai chilies into there as well to get things going. The Thai version, which this is usually whole fruit puree. And the Indian version, which is equally delicious, is typically already processed, and it's much tarter.
Oh, yeah.
Because the ones that they're using are more tart.
And you don't have a preference?
It really depends what I'm making, but this is what I always have on hand, although I do have a jar of the Indian stuff at home.
Okay.
So right now, I just have chilies and the makrut lime leaves in there, sort of just simmering along, and brown sugar. This is lemongrass. When you talk about food waste, and I didn't realize I was going to go here, but there's actually a waste component to actually everything that's on this table. Lemongrass, everyone always tells you, cut the tops off, because these aren't really very good. And then you have to turn the knife around and do this, and then this little thing.
3-second rule. Oh,
that stubby little root, I mean, that does absolutely nothing. That's garbage, right? So we put that away. And then you have something that can aromatize, right, a dish and put its flavor in there. And we just kind of bang it with the back of the knife and soften it up. You really don't have to do anything else with it. We do that with both pieces. However, if we take this little tub, what do you think you got in there? How much?
Maybe 2 tablespoons if I'm lucky.
Fantastic. Dump it in there. That's all we need.
Okay.
We're going to put this other piece of lemongrass in there. I take all of this and I put it in a bag in my freezer.
Oh, okay.
And then I just tie them all together and I drop them into the tub.
Okay, the tub of?
Hot water in my bathroom.
Okay. Oh, the tub.
Well, you pay like $20 for this stuff in a little sachet, with a little kind of thing in a bow.
Oh my God.
And I know that.
That's so sweet. No, I just love seeing you in your tub with your little lemongrass.
Yes, you can hold that. You can hold that image dear.
I am.
But in the middle of wintertime, I live in Minnesota, by the way, so there's nothing better than taking a bath in the middle of the night. But all of this stuff, you know, if you start to
that's so sweet. Really, that's
save
genius.
like the lavender tops and the other herbals and things like that, and the lemongrass tops, and you throw it in there. The other thing that I do is I'll just take that same bundle and I just throw it and I put it in the floor of the shower and I just run the hot water for 10 minutes before I put it back to a reasonable temperature to shower in, and the aroma is
and
incredible.
The whole, the skin, everything, it just looks fabulous.
That's how by the way, I'm 84.
He's going to be doing makeovers after this demo.
I am 84.
Really,
so this is something that's very important.
Now I learned something really
Well, you're going to
useful.
pay for it. You're going to pay for it one place or another, right?
All right, great.
What else do we have over there? Do you want to shake one of these?
So much, so badly.
And open that. That's coconut milk, and the reason that we shake it, for those that don't do a lot of cooking, is it tends to get very clotty and very clumpy at one end.
How long do I shake this, sir?
These are, you're good.
Oh, I was having fun.
Safety first.
That's right.
Do you ever buy limes in the supermarket and you get no juice out of them whatsoever?
I get so resentful.
Those are these ones, right?
Those are right now. And what do you do with those limes? That you put them in your bath?
You should, because there's not much else to them, or you march back to the supermarket and you
But there's got to be a trick for that not to happen, right? I mean, they want to be soft and heavy, right?
Well, I buy them. I buy larger ones that are heavier, and these small little Persians sometimes can be problematic. But when they're very, very hard, you just don't want to buy them. They should have a lot of give to them. Same thing with lemons. If you buy a lemon or if you're there and you squeeze it, right? And it's super, super hard. It just means that the the rind is very thick.
Right, and
right?
there's some people say you can like rub them on the counter, put them in the microwave for a second and get some juice, but
yes, no.
No,
I mean,
just buy them right.
What I do if I had a whole bunch of these, then I slice them really thin on the slicer or in my kitchen, and then I just candy them or dry them.
Okay.
And you just do something else with them.
Right.
Do you want to
use
throw
our
that
little-
in there?
Okay. Do you have an actual stir? We're just going to stir with our little plastic spoon here?
Yeah, well, I have a ladle.
Oh, you have a ladle?
Yeah. This is,
I didn't
by
get a
the
ladle.
way, am I right? Where's Jack? This is the first food demo?
Yeah, at Refed, thank you. Isn't it fun?
This is
Yeah,
great. So it's
all right.
it's not like we have some fancy pants,
Right,
thing
we're
that's
just
going
doing
on
it.
here.
We're in your kitchen.
Okay.
We're happening.
So
Okay.
we put about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar into all of this. And so a good rule of thumb is just start with about the same amount of fish sauce.
Okay.
This is Red Boat fish sauce.
Do you like this brand? Are you happy with that? There's a million out there.
I do like that brand
you can smell
because
that
it's
now.
very consistent.
Are you getting that fish sauce and
It's
the
very,
curly?
very consistent.
Very nice.
We got mushrooms,
Oh, we
right?
do have mushrooms.
Yes. And the fish sauce is going to take the place of our salt, right? And that's really coming together.
So you
that
haven't
actually
salted
tastes
it
like
at all?
that actually tastes like a dish.
Okay.
So what I want to do.
Mushrooms, I feel like is there a lot of mushroom? I feel like my mushrooms go bad a lot.
If they get wet, they go bad. When I get mushrooms from the store, I wrap them in a piece of paper toweling right away.
Right away. That's what I don't take. I don't brush the dirt off right away.
Immediately. Oh no! Don't do anything to it. Do all that stuff at the last minute.
Okay.
But you can just sort of take these beautiful mushrooms, and if you see a little bottom there, we do something. You can dry those. You can use those in soups and stews. But we just want the petals of these beautiful oyster mushrooms in there. And if you see a small one that already has
this
its
doesn't
edge,
look bad.
no,
Yeah.
if it's soft to the touch, it's going to be soft to eat, right? So these little beauties in here, you can just throw those in.
I love it.
And just kind of pick through. The more mushrooms in here, the better, because we're making a fish version of this. So then that's our big vegetable.
Right.
And then we'll I guess I should probably pop in. I have 2 big slices of ginger here. We're going to put those in there. And then the other most famous rhizome in the world.
Turmeric. No, it's ginger. It's ginger.
Sounds like I get it in between. People get it in between their toes, and they have to use antibiotic drops for it.
Fungus.
Galungal. Fungal.
Right.
Galungal.
Galungal. Fungal. We would be so crappy at charades.
Bad.
Galungal. Okay. No, wait. But tell us more about that.
Well, galungal has a more medicinal antiseptic aroma and I say flavor than ginger. It imparts a piney essence, is the best way to describe it, into foods. It is that crucial ingredient that when you make Thai or Vietnamese food at home, you say, why isn't this quite like the one that I just ate at that restaurant or that my friend made? And it's usually because you're not using galungal.
Okay, but could I, if I had to, make this without it?
Of course you could.
But why would you?
Well, the nice thing about galungal is that first of all, it lasts forever, almost forever.
Yeah.
But once you have it, then you use it.
I see.
And you can grate it and little bits of it and things.
Like ginger.
It's such a wonderful. I mean, this one is actually pretty neutral. Let me bang this.
Bang your galungal. Okay, mister.
But isn't that lovely?
Oh yeah,
just very
but
mellow.
It is exactly, and it's that missing thing. It's
and
that
we just
beautiful
put
perfume.
in those slices. I'm just going to make sure not to serve them. And if someone gets them in a bowl in my house, I always tell them, please don't eat that.
But you just won the prize. You found the baby in the king cake.
You're the one who's doing the dishes.
Right. Nice. Nice.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Now tell me. Let's talk more about fish. And so if I go to whatever store, maybe Whole Foods or somewhere, and I get my fish head.
Yes.
Is there anything to looking at it? They always talk about like a smell or like looking for clear eyes. I just want as meaty of a fish head as I can get, right?
This one is really nice with a clean smell and very clear eyes. So you would say.
Yes, I'll take that.
However, this is old and has been frozen.
Okay. How do you know that?
Look at the gills.
What? Look at the gills.
Now that's not bad. okay?
Is it because the gills are that gray color?
Yes.
And they'll be nice and red and
that is correct.
And fleshy.
That is correct. But
frozen is okay, right? If that's
frozen
what we
is
have.
more than okay.
Yeah.
Seafood is the biggest convenience food that you have in the marketplace.
And so you feel like I see all the frozen fish, and I'm like, yeah, is it gonna, frozen shrimp, for example, I think is
fantastic.
Okay, how do you decide which shrimp you're going to buy? Are you?
I ask.
Okay.
I read the label.
And do you buy USA? You don't want to buy. I mean, are there politics around which shrimp I should buy?
Tons.
Okay.
Tons. And you pick.
I mean, I live in Atlanta. I get the Gulf shrimp. I'm happy. I don't have to worry about this.
So you're worried about the rest of us in the other 49 states.
I'm trying to help the crowd.
No, you are.
Because I'm a giver. And,
yes.
All right? And
yes.
So, but when I go and pull my bag of frozen shrimp, what's a good and size?
Here's the problem. You want to make sure that it's MSC, ASC, that one of the alphabet
FYI.
organizations has certified it as being okay.
Okay.
That's number one, right? Is the certification.
Right.
These are massive salmon heads. Ordinarily, I would just cut that other gill out and pop this whole thing in here. So for the purposes of the demo, because we want to make sure that this cooks, right? And we can start to nudge this up and simmer it. We want this to cook for 15 minutes before I actually serve it to you. So I'm just putting those collars. Yeah, no, we're good.
Okay.
We're good there. I do want a few more lime leaves.
Okay.
I do want another chili or two. Don't do this at home.
What do you? Oh.
Well, because you'll forget that that's on there, and then you'll cut something, or you'll touch your eye, or something like that.
You'll trim your child's hair, and they will
That's
be
exactly
crying.
right, and all hell will break loose.
Okay.
But we have now essentially used absolutely everything.
Do you want to do a little more?
Yeah, I'm just gonna. No, I'm just using the back of this. I got this. I just want a little more tamarind. I want more of that.
So the one thing that
sour
I
flavor.
was tasked to do did not do very well.
No, that's not true. You did an excellent job. I just, I found the tool that's going to give us more tamarind. Just gonna
Then the plastic spoon. I did the best with what I.
Another tablespoon in there, right?
All right.
So now we have a beautiful fish soup.
Smells great.
And if you imagined a couple of aromatics, something that is in your pantry, something else that's in your pantry, something that could be bought on sale and put in your freezer.
And these actually last for a long time, and you can put them in the freezer.
For a long, long time. And then a fish head, when you buy fish, I mean, your original question that started us off was, where can I buy a fish head? And the answer is, well, a whole bunch of places, but you may not see one 3, 4, 5 times that you're out buying fish, but then there they are, right? Whole red snapper, a whole mahi-mahi, something like that. And you can buy it and say to the person behind the counter, can you fillet that for me, but also give me the bones?
Right.
Because you're paying for it anyway.
Right.
And you can make a stock with the bones.
Right.
You can use the head for a soup, and you can use the fillet for whatever you happen to be
And if I
cooking
bought,
for dinner.
like for example, they have the big fillet of salmon that I can get at Costco or wherever.
That's
say, for
right.
example, can I to get a pork? Can I use like the trim of the belly and trim that and use that in here if I can't get a fish head? Could I use fish trim of some kind?
You could, but the belly is such gorgeous,
Might as well just eat
fatty
that,
fish that I would suggest eating it a different way. With belly of fish, I stick on the grill and just get that charred, yummy fish fat on there, especially a big fish like salmon, tuna, same kind of deal. Swordfish, same kind of deal, right? But the fact of the matter is that what we're trying to do is teach people to use cuts of the fish that they may not use ordinarily. Now, do I think everybody is going to run out and make a soup with fish collars? Well, I hope so, because this is dinner for two. Each collar is a full portion, 5-6 ounces of beautiful, beautiful fish that is on the, what do we think you need? Do we need a little more fish sauce? That's my last thing to balance out.
That's pretty good.
Not bad, right?
Pretty right on. Yeah, tastes good to me.
So the fact of the matter is that you get extra meals out of here, and this is a cute way, because everyone out there is saying, okay, I get it. I should use the part of something that I ordinarily don't use.
Right.
But what if we wanted to change more than just our house when we're cooking together, right? What if we wanted to change our community and our city or our state or our country or our planet, right? Are there things like this that we could begin to normalize, right, and actually change behavior by saying, oh, wow, not only is this delicious, right, but if we extrapolated this sort of thinking out, how much of a difference could we make? You know, 10%, 15%? You know, we heard some incredibly smart people talking before us, you know, here, noting that just, you know, a 5% change here and a 5% change there puts you on the other side of the ocean 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. And it's the exact same thing with food. If we start to normalize what is typical behavior on the other side of our planet by including foods in our diet, routinely including foods in our diet. I'm sure this is a very sophisticated and chic crowd. You go to a Japanese restaurant, one of the more expensive items there is hamachikama, which is the collar of a yellowtail fish. Technically, it's actually a buri because it's grown to a larger size.
Nobody likes a braggart.
No,
okay, fine.
That was very clever.
Thank you. It's actually okay. All right, but nonetheless.
But what is going to happen here is we're going to start to use collars of other fish that we typically don't. Salmon is very fatty, and so you have the same kind of surprise deliciousness in a salmon collar than you do in a hamachi or buri collar.
And I think if you made this for friends and then you kind of spread the fish head gospel to your friends and you start to think, I mean, it starts, like you said, normalizing cooking with not waste, but cooking with things that we wouldn't cook with.
But you literally just said the words that I was going to go to, which is that verbiage matters, right?
So we should call it waste, trim.
Why do we call it waste?
I don't know.
Waste sounds like something that we shouldn't ever have somewhere. It's like, oh, that's waste. Get rid of the waste. Right? This is not waste. In whole other parts of the world, you know, we were going to do a much more complex demo. I was going to do a giant fish head curry. And we were going to eat it on this big banana leaf with coconut rice and all this other stuff. Then I got a really nice note back from the team here that said, you have a burner and a pot. And I said, okay. Let's go with this. Right.
That was first time out of the chute.
That's exactly right. By the way, watch this, shameless plug. Recipe on my website.
What is your website?
No paywall.
Okay.
Yes.
Just type in Andrew Zimmern into my search bar and there will be your site.
Literally.
Okay.
No, andrewzimmern.com. But the recipe is there for anybody that wants to make this at home and several other soups like this. But the thing is that I think what we do is we immediately set people off in a different direction when we start to call certain foods waste. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
I
think that's right.
I have a problem with it because I go to other parts of the world and it's the most highly prized piece of fish are those collars. Right? So it's here that we have an issue with it because we don't know what to do with it. So really, it's not a waste problem when it comes to using the heads.
It's an
education problem. It's an education problem, right? And so it's not really an education problem, as my friend Jose Andres always says, right? It's an opportunity to learn problem. He loves flipping things around and saying it's not a problem to be solved. It's an opportunity to be blanked, right? And so consequently,
it's an opportunity to be blanked.
It's an opportunity. Well, whatever the subject matter is, he goes in, for that. So,
all right, let me ask you another question, though. The phrase invasive species. And there was a fashion for a minute that we were all going to eat lionfish and help save the Great Lakes by eating invasive species. Is that a thing? Are we going to taste?
You are.
Okay, well, I have Joel. We're transitioning. Joel's going to come taste at some point, but I'll taste first because we still have 7 minutes left.
By the way, you were nervous earlier that we were going to,
go over.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I like this because I wonder, I mean, this is like off script, but I mean, I wonder if somebody has a cooking question or somebody want to come up and try it with us.
Here's the deal, because you were going somewhere. What was the question you were about to ask?
Invasive species, and I was wondering if that's...
So with invasive species, they're invasive for a reason. They come from somewhere else. So let's say the place that they come from, they are not very good.
Okay.
Or not eaten or not edible, perhaps.
Okay.
Right? They could get you sick.
Okay.
Freshwater clams, certain freshwater mussels, there's really no getting around it. It's almost impossible to,
you can't do it,
to eat. However, then there are other things that are invasive species, and you mentioned one of them, lionfish, which are just absolutely delicious.
Okay.
How am I going to...
Turn it off?
I just put it on 100 degrees. That way it won't boil away, it won't damage anything, and all the rest of that kind of stuff. Right. Lionfish are absolutely delicious. Trying to find a market for them has been difficult, and they're very laborious to catch because you actually go down under the water, take out your spear gun, and one by one, kill all these lionfish. How
do you know this? How in the world
Because I've gone lion fishing.
Of course, we didn't set that up. You've gone lion fishing?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're the world's most interesting man. Haven't I? No, but it's not. You're not supposed to shame me for things I haven't done up here. No, I've not gone lion.
That was shame. You know something?
What,
that
you
was
haven't?
Shaming.
I
that
mean,
was shaming.
That's like food one-upsmanship. Oh, you haven't gone lion fishing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, no. But there it goes.
No, but you've done lots of other things.
I have. Things that I won't even tell you about that I've done that you've never done.
I can only imagine.
That's right. We'll talk about it later.
This is literally what our once a month catch-up phone calls are like.
It goes on for hours.
You guys have
to be bored out of your mind.
We just endlessly giggle over that.
Right.
But go ahead and just give a little try and try a little bit of that salmon.
Will you come up here and try some with me? I'm pointing at you just because you happen to be attentive with your
There is such a thing as invasive species that has been very beneficial. There are types of seaweed that are now growing in places that are extremely beneficial.
Here you go. We're going to just eat out of the same bowl like we're sisters. Here we go. Okay.
By the way, I do television a lot of
Let's get some of that
days of the year.
Isn't amazing?
As my job. So I have a huge ego and no self-esteem at all. So you're supposed to ooh and ah a little bit.
I'm getting there. You get a piece of that fish. I can't even speak. That's why it's so good. It's so look at because we're eating.
But I think it's really important. And the fact of the matter is that with so many problems that we have in our world today.
Kind of no. Really? So you're not really you don't eat like a fish? Are you
This is actually the first time I've ever tried fish.
Are you serious? And isn't it the best way to try it?
Yeah.
How have you never tried fish? You don't like it. And I picked you out of all these people. I love it.
That is so
Thank you.
What are the odds of that?
I know.
And by the way, she didn't even eat like, Dover sole at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant in London.
She ate fish head soup.
She ate fish head soup. I mean, you went right into the deepest end of the pool.
You brave woman.
It is a great day.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
I love it, and now you'll eat it. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. That is really delicious. And the other thing that gets me, it's like so much flavor in such a short period of time.
Well,
it's fantastic.
The fact of the matter is that there are so many myths in cooking, and I have to be very careful about what I say with this because Michel Nishan is in the audience.
Oh, yeah.
He's a very famous chef.
Badass.
He's a very famous chef.
Yeah.
So if I say something that's not
correct,
liturgically proper, I will hear
He'll
it later from him.
And they'll make fun of you behind
will.
your back.
No.
They will.
They'll make fun of me to my face. They don't have to do it behind my back.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is that one of the big myths in cooking is that because everyone says it, people on TV like me actually have said it. Other people have misled you. I would never mislead you. But when they say stuff is like, it's going to take hours and we're building layers of flavor. And this is the only way really to coax all of the flavor out of a mushroom or an onion or a piece of fish or a macroot lime leaf. And it really is bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Yes, some things have to cook for 10 hours, right? I mean, there's no getting around it. And then other things, you can cook for 25 minutes and have dinner on the on the table for your family in a short amount of time and save a lot of money while doing it and not be wasting a valuable and precious resource. We have a climate crisis in this country. We have many other existential crises in this country, but it is of vital importance, and it's the whole reason that my partners and I wrote the Blue Food Cookbook. We need to teach people that we can produce and protect out of our oceans at the same time.
So and quick pitch about Blue Food Cookbook, because I don't think people understand the Blue Food project you're in on, and you have 1 minute to make your pitch.
I've only been working on it for 15 years. There's a copy of it sitting around somewhere over there.
But the Blue Food...
Just Google the Blue Food. Well, it's right on my website, actually.
Oh, and what is that
You
website
can buy one right from there.
Andrew?
But about 15 years ago, I got into the idea that aquaculture is going to save the planet. I still believe aquaculture is going to save the planet. If anyone disagrees with me, we can debate it later on tonight or at the break. I'm happy to, but aquaculture works, and therefore it is deserving of our investment, and it's one of the few ways we're going to feed a hungry planet delicious, nutritious protein, whether we're growing that fish terrestrially or in the water. But blue food was first used about 12 years ago by the United Nations to describe all foods that come from rivers, lakes, streams, oceans, etc. And you know, we have one species of chicken that we eat. So your big question with chicken is dark or light, fresh or frozen. We basically eat one species of cow, right? I know technically there are subspecies and crossbreeds, but we basically eat one species of cow. So it's the same thing. What cut, fresh or frozen, right? There's 3,800 species of fish and shellfish that are actively available around the world, right? You add all the seaweeds in, and you have about another 1,000. And then there's the thousands of species of animal life that we don't even know about in the ocean, right? So it's so confusing for people, and you have been fed so much misinformation about farmed is good, fresh, wild is bad. Frozen is bad, it has to be always fresh. But you know, you have great food in the freezer section, the tin section, now in the chips section, in the fresh case, and the more you know about fish and shellfish, the better global citizen you're going to be, and that's what the book is all predicated on.
Great. You've been great, I have to say.
You've been fantastic. It's Kim, right?
That's right.
That's right. That's our time.
That's our time, but Joel, come taste, because I saved you a clean spoon. And I want you to taste it too. And if he goes, it's okay.
Are you cool with me to do it right out of the pot?
Yeah, come on, we're all family.
Do you want your own spoon?
You could eat this
one.
I
want
Kim's out of the
You
pot.
want Kim's spoon?
Yeah, no, I gave him a fresh one. Ha, that's what he thinks.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Isn't it good?
It's super bright.
Right?
No, it's super bright.
Yeah.
And
really
I feel like
light.
I could just make that with all kinds of
really floral.
fish.
I get why you bathe in that. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's
really,
the
really
lemongrass.
Yeah, it's the lemongrass.
It's what makes
Guys, give it up for these two. They're awesome. Good job, guys. Yeah, good job. So many visuals of Andrew Zimmern in the shower, the bath. I love it. I'm all there. With lemongrass, yeah.
This is not embarrassing. I'm just going to stroll over here and get my coat.
Exactly.
You don't get this kind of humility from Guy Fieri, I'll tell you that.
I love it. One more round of applause for Andrew. First of all, what a day. And huge thanks to the entire team at ReFed. Huge thanks to you guys. How did it go? Give it up. Yes? Good takeaways? Good. Couple of announcements. Happy hour reception is going to take place just after. We're going to show a quick little video. Andrew is going to be out there signing his Blue Foods cookbook, so that's going to be really exciting, so you can kind of double down. By the way, it kind of sticks to the lips. That soup is amazing. I feel like some people's got to come up and try that. We're back here tomorrow morning. Breakfast starts at 8 a.m., and then we'll take a deep dive into what's happening right here in North Carolina. We did this last year in Seattle. Fascinating. So I love kind of going down to the local level and really hearing what's working, opportunities. We do have a really special 10-year anniversary panel to close out the summit tomorrow. That's going to be amazing. And there are a few people who just couldn't join us for that. So nonetheless, they sent in a couple of videos. So please watch.
everyone. So 10 years ago, we were at Millstone Farm, and I was delivering produce to markets and restaurants and running a CSA and at the same time, bringing back food waste from the markets and restaurants and distribute them among the employees and the animals and composting it and just learning about what do we do with food waste, and also supporting local organizations who were interested in it and bringing them together on a farm to share ideas.
And 10 years ago, I was running around trying to do all we could to complete the initial ReFed roadmap, which was launched on the Stanford campus. And I just have to say, I'm just so proud of the ReFed organization and what they've done in the last 10 years. And a real thanks to all of you in what we always call the big tent, who every day go to work to resolve food waste. We thank you all and have a great summit.
Hi, I'm Danny Nierenberg from Food Tank. 10 years ago, when ReFed launched its first roadmap, food waste was still too often overlooked. Today, it's at the center of conversations about climate, health, and equity, and that's thanks in large part to ReFed's leadership. It's been incredible to watch this movement grow and to be a part of it, and I'm so inspired by ReFed. Congratulations on 10 years of impact, and I'm so excited to see what comes next.
Congratulations, ReFed, on 10 years, and thank you so much for the amazing things you do as an organization. 10 years ago, I was just starting some of this work related to food waste and food recovery as a member of Congress and on the Agriculture Committee, and getting to know ReFed and the resources you provide, the advocacy work that you do was just like hitting the jackpot. So I'm so glad to have been able to work with you over the years. Thank you so much for being there. We're on the same pathway here, and I look forward to continuing this work in the future.
All right, that sums it up. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening, and we'll see you here tomorrow morning. Take care.